Hey, welcome to Rogue Bogues. Very special guest, Jae'Sean Tate, former teammate of mine at the Sydney Kings. Got to work with him for a fantastic year there individually, but wanted to get him on and just discuss, first of all, how he's going with the Houston Rockets, his journey to the NBA, but a little bit about his upbringing. I think this guy has a movie-like story, life story. It's an amazing life story with the ups and downs he's gone through. So I thought the listeners would get a really good kick out of hearing his journey, not just basketball, but just everything that has made him the person he is today. But anyway, Jae'Sean Tate, welcome to Rogue Bogues.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been a long time, and I'm excited to just be able to share my story, but also just connect with you. And I appreciate you letting me come on.
No, it's great having someone else other than Pro and myself, right? Pro just going back and forth. It's nice to get a guest on. Pro, what do you think?
Yeah, no doubt about it. Shit, I'm tired of fucking talking to you, and you're tired of listening to my fucking American accent. So what the fuck you want from me? Let's start this up.
That's it. All right. So I'm going to wind it back, Jae'Sean. I want to go through kind of your upbringing in your own words. Your father, Jae'Sean Tate, played for Ohio State in 96, 97 before transferring to Cincinnati and playing professionally overseas. So to take us through those memories of kind of following his journey. I'm not sure how much time you spent with him in his basketball career, but obviously probably in college and all that, not a whole lot if you were even born at that point. But I guess that whole story, how involved were you with your father's career?
Yeah, pretty straightforward. My dad, I'm born and raised in Toledo, Ohio. That's where my dad and my mother are originally from. And like you said, he went to Ohio State, and I stayed back with my mother until I was about 10 years old. And I lost her in an unfortunate events. And that's when I actually moved in with my father down in Columbus, Ohio. And at that time, he had already been playing overseas for some time. But like when he was home, with the overseas career, you're gone 10 months out of the year. So, earlier on when I was younger, I don't really remember a lot, but I do remember that I wanted to be just like him, and I wanted to follow in his footsteps. I wanted to play basketball, but it wasn't until I lost my mother and I had to move in with, my younger siblings is when I really started to play organized basketball. And I was horrible. I was a way better football player than basketball player. And third grade was the first year I played organized sports. And it wasn't until about eighth grade I got off the bench for basketball. I was like one of those kids that never took off the shooting shirt, honestly. And I'll never forget one game my dad had brought me in the summer league. We have a thing called the hoop. And it's where you play the rec games every weekend. It was like a tournament. And I always had a knack for the ball rebounding, but I just never would score. Like, I didn't want to score. I didn't have the skill set to score. But one time, I'll never forget, I got fouled like 2 times in a row. And I went to the line back to back. I looked at my dad and I was like, this all I got to do? He's like, yeah, keep doing this. So that's where it like really clicked for me that, just being physical and driving and having that footwork that he taught me because, he was 6'10", and he played center in college. And so he taught me everything he could, and that's where my footwork comes from. And you mix that with just being physical and some of that football mentality and just figuring it out, just actually being able to play. That's when I, began to really figure out the game of basketball. And, I give credit to my father all the time because he was hard on me, not only me, but all of my siblings. And he did a pretty good job because we all went to college for free. We all got scholarships, and he's done an awesome job, but he is an asshole.
Yeah, you need that kick in the ass. Obviously, it's made you who you are today. And I will just say, of course, you played football. Of course, you played football because anyone that knows you and the way you play, you do have a good mix of football and basketball. You're physical, you love contact, you're kind of always searching for contact, so it makes sense. But you're, when you were shocked to get to the free throw line, and it was so easy to just get fouled and get easy points. That all makes sense because that's definitely a part of your game. I won't touch too much on this, but your story with losing your mother was at the time stabbed by her then boyfriend, and he was later convicted of murder, and then having to move in with your father and then raised by his stepmom. That's the backstory with that. It makes a note that you've spoken about you had some somewhat anger issues as a young fella trying to figure out life and everything about that. And take me through that, like how hard it was just on a daily basis to kind of find your path towards where you are now, and not only now, but Ohio State and going to college and getting a free education.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, from a young age, I feel like any young 9-year-old that loses their mother in such a tragic and surprising way by someone you thought cared about you and cared about your family, it's gonna have an effect on them. And when I moved to Columbus, I wasn't. My mom never. She worked her ass off. She put herself through nursing school. She was working double shifts. So I never wanted for anything. But the atmosphere and the setting had changed. I was going to a predominantly all-Black school that really wasn't a great school. I wasn't thinking about sports at that time, that young. We really couldn't afford sports. And when I got to Columbus, I was the only Black kid in my class. And it was just an adjustment period for me. I'm in a new home with, I know my siblings, but it's not where I grew up. It's not with, the people that, I saw every day. So, of course, I had some issues that I had to work through. And, my stepmom, I thank her all the time for putting up with all my stuff, because I know it wasn't hard. I mean, I know it wasn't easy to have to, take on something like that. I'm the oldest out of all my siblings, and they put me through counseling, and, it was hard on her because, my dad's overseas 10 months out the year, and she had to, make sure that I was taken care of. And it wasn't until I was about 12 years old when I really had to, understand that I had to be the man of the house. I was doing my little sister's hair. I was making dinners. I was making sure we got on the bus to go to school. And when I started driving, I'm picking people up from practice. So I think that's where my maturity came from. Is just that I had to. I didn't have a choice to, because, I wanted to make sure that I was a great role model for my siblings, and that I wanted to be the first one to, get to the top level and make them see that it's possible. And Ohio State was a great pick for me, just because it gave me even more of that structure. I chose Ohio State because my father went there. It was right down the street from where I grew up in Columbus, Ohio. I was 15 minutes from campus. Never left Ohio. Never wanted to leave Ohio until I did. And my high school coach actually coached my dad at Ohio State as well. So he took over when I was in high school, and we won a state championship. Me, Karis LeVert, was on that team, and it was just only right. I was the number one player at this time coming out of Ohio, and I wanted to be that hometown hero. But Ohio State really, it really tested me. That first year, I was coming off a shoulder injury, and nobody told me about diet. You don't think about diet in when you're in high school. I came in at 250 pounds. Like, my playing weight before then was 200 pounds. And I didn't even realize I was that big until one day I went up there to shoot, and And the football coaches, Luke Fickle, who's the head coach at Cincinnati, he came up to me like, son, you ever thought about playing defensive tackle? I was like, defensive tackle? What you mean, man? I'm a hooper, you know. If anything, I play linebacker. And then my coach had walked in a few minutes later. He's like, man, you lose some weight. Like, you're huge. And when I got there, dog, when I tell you, like, mentally, college really helped me become who I was because it made me go through thresholds that I didn't know I could get through. I used to wake up every Sunday worried about Wednesday, 6 a.m. mile run. every Sunday night, man, I didn't get sleep for 2 days knowing that I was going to wake up at 5 a.m. to go run this mile in Ohio weather, cold. And it took everything out of me to finally make it. I made it on the last try. I cried when I crossed that line, but that's when, you know, my mental threshold was really, I really knew I could go another way, and I'll never forget that. And I'll always thank my coaches for that as well.
Were you? What positions did you play in high school? Were you generally a 3-4, or did you kind of mix it up?
You know, I was a lot bigger than most of the other high, especially locally. You know, over here in America, we have AAU, so those are where, you know, the real athletic, talented players are. But so in high school, I ran like kind of how I do now. Like I'm getting the rebound, I'm pushing the break, I'm taking most of the shots. But in AAU, I played pretty much the 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's all changed today. You're the prototype of positionless basketball with the way the league's going. But, I mean, the reason why I wanted to bring up your background just to start this off, you know, I didn't want to be on a negative note, is because, like, I believe you had every excuse for things, you know, not to pan out how they have. You had every excuse to you know, be a victim. And one thing about you spending a year with you is the amount you smile on a daily basis. You know, when I first met you and getting to know you, I would never have known this was your backstory, right? Like I thought you would have had like a solid upbringing, really stable, you know, all that kind of stuff, because who you were as a person was, like I said, I was like, this dude smiles every day. Like no matter what's going on, even when he's like talking about how sore his legs are from playing 38 minutes before, he's like smiling while he's telling it. And I'm like, wow, like, you know, if people knew his story, and it's just amazing. So that's why I want to bring that up, because I think you have, you know, you light up the room. People enjoy being around you. We loved having you as a teammate for the 1 year we had you, and I think it's just a testament, you know, to who you are as a person. That yeah, you have had some trials and tribulations, but for everyone listening, you know, that's making excuses, like if anyone had a right to make an excuse, it'd be you. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it's a really good story.
Yeah. You know, my whole mindset, you know, is that like I've been through, you know, so much, you know, traumatic experiences that, you know, I'm just grateful, especially to be able to play a game, you know, for a living, you know, like at the end of the day, like that's what makes me happy, is that like I'm able to do something I really love and I always wanted to. Like I've been saying I wanted to be here since I was 4 years old. You know, I was saying that I wanted to make sure that, you know, I was a super role model for my siblings, and I was that. And, you know, I'm just always happy because I've set goals for myself, and I've seen every goal that, you know, I've fallen short a couple times on some things, and I'm not there yet. But majority of the goals that I set, like I work my butt off, I work my ass off to get there, and that's why I smile, because it's like, what's next? You know, like I'm ready for it because I've been through so much.
No, it's great. It's a great attitude to have. I just think it's like I said, I think when it's all said and done, that they could, you know, your book, I hope you write a book one day or retell your whole story, because I think it's an amazing story, and it's a movie script to an extent. But just capping off Ohio State, I mean, you were the epitome of consistency throughout your career. You finished with career numbers of 11.7 points, 6 rebounds and just under 2 assists. Your career year was probably your third year was your career year as far as numbers go, 14.3 and 6.4 a night. But I mean, just the beacon of consistency there, the 4-year stint, obviously at a really well-noted, prestigious basketball school, and football for that matter, but basketball, hard-nosed guys that play hard and all that kind of stuff. So that was good. I'll just run through, just for our listeners, you then go undrafted, you go to Summer League and you get hurt, and then you go off to the Antwerp Giants, right, in the Belgian league. Not very well noted by most people around the world. I don't know much about the Belgian league, to be honest with you. I don't think you probably knew a whole lot about it neither. You go on to be an all-star there. You put up some pretty big numbers. First Belgian Cup title in 12 years. In 42 league games, you averaged 10, 4, and 2. And then 13, 5.6 and 1.6 in their league, in their BCL games, which I assume is a cup. But I mean, talk us through going from, like you just said, that your goal was always to get to the NBA. When you left Ohio State to go and play in Belgium, number one, I'm pretty certain you probably didn't know much about Belgium basketball and all that. Did you think the NBA door was potentially, closed, considering you're going to a really low league that not many people know about? And just talk us through the journey of getting to Belgium and how that helped you.
Yeah, just to take it back a little farther, because I think it's important to know, coming out of Ohio State, I had a lot of question marks, even though I was an all-conference player, left records and all that. I'm thinking coming out, I'm going to have a couple of draft workouts. And, I just need the opportunity to prove myself. Like that, it is what it is. I just want to prove myself. And I actually didn't have any workouts. Nobody called. No agents called. Except
so Jae'Sean, you didn't have an agent at all coming into the pre-draft process. Take us through that a little bit, if you don't mind. Agents calling, nothing. You were on your own with all this.
So I had 3 agents called. So one agent was just literally, he talked to every single guy that was coming out. Every single guy. I would ask, did you talk to? Oh, yeah, I talked to him. Oh, yeah. Literally, he talked to every single senior that was coming out. So I knew right there, red flag. Another one, he called me. He's like, look, I got a deal for you. I'm not going to lie. I have all these clients. This is what I could do for you. You're probably not going to get anything else. But you only have a day or two to decide. I'm like, what? I didn't even meet you. I don't even know what you look like. And the agency, the last one didn't even have a name. And this is a pretty good story though, because I actually went with this guy because he, I just genuinely felt like he was a great guy, a great dude. And I don't have a lot of options here. But I knew this dude was going to work his butt off for me. And it would be great if you guys got him on the podcast. But his name's EJ Kuzner. He actually played a year in Australia, I think in the 2nd division. But now he has turned his, agency into Beyond. They're representing, about 5 or 6 NBA guys. A lot of overseas guys and G League guys. And it's only been 3 years since they've been in the agency. And I just went with this dude, and just to see the growth and be a part of it, it's been pretty awesome. And back to my story, I go with this guy, EJ, and, he's just a guy that has, a couple connections. So he made some calls, and I went into my first pre-draft workout was with Denver. Actually Utah. It was Utah Jazz. Mind you, anybody who's ever, played or been to Utah, you go there, you're not going to be able to breathe in this, because of the elevation level. So I'm dying. First pre-draft, I don't even know what to expect, but I go. I have to hop on the plane the next morning, whatever, I'm going. And, I had a pretty decent one. And, word travels around the league. And, I got a couple more after that. This is the last week of leading up to the draft. So it's basically about this time right now because the draft's in a few days. So I go from there. I go back home, to Indiana where I'm working out at the time. I drive to the Chicago workout because a guy gets hurt. I drive 4 hours. I get a rental. I drive there. I kill the workout, kill it. The next day, I go to Milwaukee. I absolutely crush it before it's over. They're like, we got to get you on summer league. We got to. So I go to Milwaukee on summer league, and I had a pretty good, mini little summer league camp. Like the coaches are saying great things. I'm getting positive feedback. I'm thinking I'm going to play the last day before summer league. My teammate Sterling Brown, he broke my finger swiping at a ball. I'm like, sheesh. What now? This is, at the time, I had 5 surgeries the last 5 years. I had surgery every year from senior year of high school to my first year out of college. So I'm like, dang, I didn't survive 2 shoulder surgeries, an ankle, appendix 1 year, and now my finger. Like, dang, I'm right here. They're telling me I'm gonna play. So yeah, that was a real tough. That was one of my toughest moments, in my life, because it was like I worked so hard to get there, and I felt like I got right in front of it and couldn't play. And Milwaukee, the league's it's a messed up. It's a business, man. So, the coaches are in the G League, GM, oh, we love you. We're going to bring you to camp. You're going to fight for a 2-way. All that did not happen. So I'm waiting around for, a couple weeks. And they're like, oh, it's still logistics. We're going to send it over. Like, we want you. We like you. And, it got to be like 3 weeks later. And they're like, oh, we ran out of roster spots. Not going to work. At this time, I'm turning down offers thinking, I'm going to have my shot. And I'll never forget, I was actually visiting some friends up in New York. And thank God I brought my passport, but my agent called and was like, you got a tryout in Antwerp, Belgium, but you got to leave tomorrow. I'm like, tomorrow? Like, dang, I don't even get to say bye to my family. Like, I got to leave from New York. Like, this is crazy. I've never been out the country at this point. And, but I had to do it because.
So not even guaranteed, not even guaranteed being a.
No, not even guaranteed. It was either go. It was either go over there for a tryout for $4,000 a month, or I was going to play second division in Israel for about $3K a month, $2,500 to $3K. And I was like, shoot, hey, that's the best I got. Shoot, I got to go. So I hopped on a plane, and as soon as I just got to Belgium, and they were trying to qualify for Champions League, and they'd never been in it. And I hit the ground rolling, dog. Like, I think in that Champions League's playoff, I averaged like 20 and 11. Like, they're like, oh, we're keeping him. So they locked me in for the year. I was probably like one of the lowest paid players on the team. And we got all the way to the Final Four and lost to the team that won it. So, it was a good year. And that was a great team, man. That was a great experience for me because it really showed me how to play basketball. Over here it was more like I'm just athletic, I'm better than you, and college is different. But overseas, the game slowed down, and I started to learn how to, play the game within the game. So that's where I feel like Belgium really helped me get to where I was, and I actually got confident in shooting the ball there as well too.
Yeah. So did you think what was your mindset as far as the NBA now that you're, like I said earlier, you're in the Belgian league, not a very well-known league, not really Euro league, not on TV. Were you like, I got to grind it out here and then hopefully go on to bigger and better things? Or were you like, look, the NBA is kind of a distant memory right now. Let me knuckle down here in Europe and make a name for myself. What was your mindset there?
So, my mindset at that point is just try to. I'm trying to get back to the league, but I'm having such a great time here. Like, I'm trying to just make the best out of the opportunity I have, and I never forget we were in Russia and we were playing, I can't remember his name right now. But anyways, we were talking about Australia and like it's the middle of the Champions League season. And he's like, man, I played in Australia and it was the best time of my life and all this. I literally called my agent that night, like, we need to try to figure out how to get me to Australia because I'm hearing things about it and I'm gonna need that. So like it was just like it was like crazy because he was like, well, that's really a hard league to get in. They don't really like undersized forwards, but I'll try to see what we do. And after Belgium, I got a couple calls from summer league team from some teams for summer leagues. I had Milwaukee, but because of that whole situation, I'm not going there. And so I ended up going with Denver. And I thought I killed it, man. Like I felt like I played great. I made all my shots. I shot the ball well. They ended up keeping, one of their draft and stash players over me and let me go. But then I had a couple offers from Brisbane and Sydney, and I had to make a decision to either, try to fight for a two-way spot or go over here. And, that comes up. I see LaMelo Ball's going over there. I see RJ Hampton, Didi. I'm like, man, that's going to have a lot of buzz. And I'm just not a G League player. Like I knew at no point in my career, I was going to play in the G League. Like that's just something I was like, from day one, we're not doing that. I don't want to even go down there because I don't feel like it'll benefit me. And so that's where I, made a decision to go to Sydney to play with you. Really, I never forget. I Will put you on the phone with me, and I'm like, dang, I just got off the phone with Andrew Bogues. Like people don't understand. Like coming up, like people don't get to do that. And once I saw that opportunity, I had to go, and it was one of the best years of my life to this day.
Yeah, we I remember it vividly. We had OK year before you got there. We made the semi-finals and got swept by Melbourne United. We had an issue we had David Ware at the time, who was a good shooter, but I felt like we needed an active four-man. We were budget crunched at that point, just with the way our salary cap was. We didn't have a lot of room for an expensive import. And I remember they reached out to me and your name came up. I didn't know a whole lot about you. You did some research and then they're like, he's 6'4". And I'm like, what do you mean he's 6'4"? I was going to play the four. And I did some research and what sold, it was hard to get film, it was hard to get all that. But what sold me was as soon as I heard you were the captain of Ohio State, I was like done. And why that sold me was I knew you'd be high character based on that. Like I know if you're at Ohio State and you're the captain, like you're not a shithead. You're probably a team first guy. I looked at your numbers. They weren't like, you weren't a high volume shooter or putting up massive numbers. You were consistent. It looks like you did whatever you were asked. And I was like, you know what? Like this fits in with what we need. We needed a guy kind of next to me at the four that was active, that could switch 1 through 4, 1 through 5 when we go small. And that's how that all worked out. And then, yeah, I know there were a few other teams reaching out, but, Will was like, really want this guy, can really help us. And then I remember you came over and, it was the rest is kind of history, I guess. But I remember you came over. I think you had your struggles early on shooting the ball from three. Like because we obviously needed someone to shoot at the 4 spot with the way our offense ran for the most part under Will. And I think Will was obviously, you can talk about it later, was great for you, giving you that confidence. But a bit of a shaky start at the preseason. I think you showed flashes of athleticism in the I think it was the NBL Blitz, but just struggling to buy a 3 ball. And that's kind of how our relationship started. And I think it was exactly what we needed on the squad at that time. I mean, your numbers in Sydney real quick, 16, 2 assists, 6 rebounds, all NBL first team. I mean, you were our team MVP. You were a huge integral part of what we did. We could go smaller lineups, which is what I love. Get me out of the game, sit my old ass down for a bit, put you at the 5. It just caused all kinds of matchup problems. And I think, going back to you being 6'4", you just played above your size. I compare you to, the NBL's version of Draymond Green, because you do whatever was asked. You could guard, you'd be switched on a ball or a Hampton at times, 1 through 4 switches, and you wouldn't take a back step. You were quick enough, strong enough. And then the funniest shit in our league was you were 6'4" and just absolutely bullying. Bro, this dude would bully 6'10", 250 guys in the post. Like that he'd end up with a 5-man switch on him and he'd start backing him down. And you're just like, at the start, you're like, what are you doing? You're 6'4", and he'd put him in the basket and he's 6'4". And it was just like, it was quite funny to watch. But that's kind of for our listeners of how our story started. And then obviously, you came over. Talk about, how you enjoyed and how you really lived here in Australia, and how Will Weaver was an integral part of I guess you growing as a basketball player and getting your confidence.
Yeah, it was funny, man, because when I got off the plane, Smitty was there, the owner, and he looked at me. He's like, "Oh my God, this dude's short." He's like, "Wow, you're really short." And I'm like, "Oh, dang."
He would have told you too. He would have told you to your face.
So he did. He was like, "Wow, I was expecting you to be a lot bigger." And I was like, "Whoa, okay." But everybody been saying that my whole life, man. So it's like, all right, okay, that's fine. And like my experience in Australia, man, I absolutely loved it. And I'm going to go back. I don't know when. I would love to, after my NBA career is coming to an end, is to go back. Like my dream is to just go back and, play a couple seasons there, because, y'all play until you're about 40 if you want to in the NBL. Like that's one thing I'll say about the NBL is that it prepared me for the league. Like the way we were practicing, having veterans on my team, you, Lish, it was just like, it was great for me. It was great. I'd never been on a team with, guys that have, done so many great things in their career, and someone I could learn from. And that was the best part of being there, is just being able to learn from so many older guys who have had success. And it really helped me. And our style of play as well really prepared me, especially being with the Rockets and having Will Weaver come across with me was just great, because we were running the same thing. And I just felt like I had a step ahead of all the, up and coming new guys trying to make their way in the league. It's just because I had been doing it for a season. And man, I cried when I left. I mean, that when our season ended, and I had to go home, there was some talks about maybe signing a 3-year deal. And I'm like, oh, take it. I'm not going nowhere. I don't even forget COVID. I'm going to be here. Like, my agent literally had to talk me off a cliff from coming home. And he's like, no, I just need you to give the NBA one more shot. I'm like, I'm not playing another summer league, man. Like, I'm 24 at this point. Like, I'm old. Like, I'm good in Australia. I love it here. Like, this is where I want to be. And there was some long nights. I remember being up 3 a.m. arguing with him about that. But that just shows how great of a league and great Sydney is to their players, man. I mean, we have billboards. Like, I'm telling my grandparents and my people, I got billboards around the city. Like, that just like that feeling and that love and that appreciation. Like, you don't get that, unless you're a top guy, over here. And, I'm working towards that. But the love that I got in Sydney was just, it was like no other. And, I'm so happy that they got that championship. And I hope they're celebrating that and just being able to see success from, our older and former teammates is pretty awesome.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think, as much as we hated losing you, and we hate losing great players, you've gone on to bigger and better things, which we support. But I want to take you back to, I guess, the start of the season. We were all settling in with each other. We played Illawarra early in the season. I don't know if you remember this. The sellout game against LaMelo Ball, we had 18,000 at Kudos. It was packed to the rafters. I don't know if you remember this whole moment, but I thought as a team we played kind of selfishly. I think we got lost in the moment of 18,000 people. We didn't play kind of team type basketball. I was pissed. Like we won that game. I think it was we won the game closely, but I was visibly pretty pissed off with everyone and myself and coaches. I'm like, no, we need to be better than this. This is bullshit. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember it vividly.
Yeah, so you came up to me the next day, which is, when I obviously think I had much more respect for you as a young fella, and you could see that I was pissed, and you came up to me and you're like, "Hey man, what's up?" And I said, "Look, we bullshitted yesterday," and I remember the conversation at Auburn at practice. You're like, "Dude, like let me know what I need to do. I understand we need to be better. What do I need to do? What do you need from me?" And we kind of had that open dialogue. The very next day, and I think that was very important for our journey for where we were going to get into a grand final and trying to be one of the best teams in the league. And I guess that's when my respect level for you grew, and I think that really made me feel comfortable around this. This guy's going to be something, not only in the NBL, but he's got a chance to be an NBA player. He doesn't take himself too seriously. He understands his role. He can have those tough conversations. So, yeah, I don't know if you remember that moment as much as I do, but I think it was a turning point between not just our relationship. I don't think we had a bad relationship, but we didn't know each other at that point. And I was like, who the fuck's this kid? He's been here 2-3 weeks, like coming right up to me and not going at me, but like, hey man, what do we need to do? And I was like, after it, I was like, that was really cool.
Yeah, nah, definitely. Cause I mean, you know it, but like, we look up to you, man. And, I came to Sydney for a reason. I came because I wanted to win. I came because I felt like that roster, we had the best team in the league, and you've won championships at the highest level. And that's just something that, I don't know how to do yet. So it's just like, all right, I gotta really just ask this dude what needs to be done, because he's done it before. He's done it at a higher level than all of us. So he knows what it takes. Yeah, the coaches are going to be the coaches, but this dude really has the experience and he knows what it takes. And, I didn't want to waste time, because, that season's only 28 games. That goes fast. It's not a lot of time to, like you said, bullshit. And especially against the Hawks. I mean, they were horrible. And yeah, like just little things like that were just like my wake up call to like, okay, this is really, like a man's game. This is really, there's more to it. Yeah, we won the game, but it was more to it. And, it helped me mature. Like you really helped me just become, a leader. Over here, I'm dealing with the same thing. Like we bullshit too much sometimes just because of our youngness. And it's just something that, we have to work on. But, I think that, being over there and then being in Belgium really gave me the tools, and being a captain at Ohio State to, turn this thing around.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. Pro, what do you got?
No, nothing. I mean, obviously you had such a sort of vast basketball experience going into it. I mean, Jae'Sean, it's unbelievable how like they treat you when they don't think you're an NBA player. I'm talking about agents and people in basketball, and then you become an NBA player, like, and then you get treated a little bit differently, especially when they know you're going to stick. Like, did you get that feeling, sort of like right out of Ohio State, trying to make it, and then when you sort of turn the corner, knowing that you're going to be an NBA player, so did the other basketball world. Like, did you notice you were getting treated a little bit differently? Like, yeah, these doors, like every time I tried to get something or, someone to help me, doors were like closed beyond closed. Now that I'm going to make it, people are sort of a lot easier to try to help you. Did you notice any of that coming on?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of weird. It's like with certain things, yes, but I mean, as I started to grow in my career, I started to, want stuff at another level. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. There's doors I'm trying to get in, still trying to get in. It's kind of just like there's always another level, and there's always a room that you want to be in. You know what I mean? And I don't really think about you know, what I have now. I know it's a blessing what I have now, but I'm still hungry. I'm still trying to get that next thing. I'm trying to get that next contract. I'm trying to win that next game. And that's just always how I've carried myself. And so, like, yeah, to answer your question, it's like, of course, like, there's always going to be people that, you know, don't believe in you. And I feel like when I got to the NBA, it was kind of put on a bigger platform. So there's even more people that don't believe in you. You know, you're getting mentions every day about how much you suck and you should be traded and stuff like that. But I don't try to, you know, pay attention to that because I'm trying to prove myself right. So far I have.
Before you got to Sydney, you did play like a year in summer league. You played for like Denver, right? With the Nuggets in Vegas. How was that experience? Because again, this is before you made the NBA, so you didn't really have that name, you know, before that. Like, how was that experience in summer league as far as how not you were treated, but like how much you played versus how much of a focal point you were with all their other younger players that they were trying to, you know, sort of showcase and things. Well, did you feel as though you were a part of it, or did you feel as though you were sort of like in another group? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, because that players sort of go through that in their summer league experience.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of just weird because it's always the same. It's like my playing career is the same story over and over again. I come in, you know, like I'm, you know, 13th to 14th off the bench. And by the end of it, I'm starting. And so, like, that's kind of just how that whole summer league experience went. You know, the first couple games, you know, they threw me in there and I started to do productive stuff that impacted winning. And, you know, by the end of it, I was starting. And, you know, I was having pretty good games, putting up, you know, similar numbers to what I average now. And I've always thought that I'm just a player. If you give me enough time out there, I'm going to impact the game. And I just need an opportunity. And Denver gave me that opportunity. They still tell me to this day how much they love me and how they, you know, but, you know, it is what it is. It's a business. And, but that platform they gave me and that opportunity they gave me really, you know, helped me get here, because without getting that opportunity there, I wouldn't have got to be able to play in Sydney and got to be able to, you know, be seen even more by NBA scouts.
No doubt.
Bogues, I do remember his dad, though. I coached AAU in Boston, and I remember his dad coming to Ohio. I remember that Ohio State team he was on, and then the Cincinnati team that he transferred to, Bogues, with Kenyon Martin and DeMar Johnson and all those guys. They were pretty entertaining group, man.
Yeah, speaking of Kenyon Martin, him and my dad were, you know, like great, like best friends in college when they played together, and me and his son play together here now. So it's
how about that? That's right.
Yeah, geez, full circle.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's small world.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, they can sit courtside and talk smack about both of you. You then go, obviously, from the NBL, that all finishes up. You get a gig at Houston. Will Weaver goes over there, obviously a big part of getting you there as well. You sign one of those 3-year deals we love to see, pro, where they where the team has all the leverage, the old San Antonio 3-year non-guarantee after non-guarantee.
Sure,
but you're still there. You know, you don't play a lot early on. You're kind of trying to find your way. Like you just said, your story's been kind of the same everywhere you've gone. And then you just come out of nowhere. Obviously, you guys weren't that good, so you got to at least get into a rotation. They're like, hey, let's give this guy a chance. He hasn't played that much, and you take that with two hands. I mean, you finish the season at 11.3 points a night, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.5 steals. But the thing that I thought was the next stage for your game, and something you're still probably working on, you can discuss that later, was your jumper and the 3-ball. I feel like whenever you knock down a 3 or 2, especially early in a game, especially with us in Sydney, it just changed the whole dynamic of your game, because then all of a sudden you have defenders trying to close you out a little bit more, and I think it just opened up the realm of your game. Whereas if you haven't knocked one down, or you're 0 for 3, 0 for 4, it changed the way as how aggressive you could be, because they could close you out short. They could dare you to make one first. But I mean, your 2 years, your best 2 shooting years of your career have been in the NBA, which is, you go from Ohio State, even free throws, 50% free throw shooter. You had 1 year at Ohio State, your senior year, where you shot at 30%, but not on volume. Now you're in the NBA, and I mean, you know, you're shooting the ball confidently. It looks great. It looks like you believe it's going in. Was that just a matter of the spacing, the flow, putting more time in, another off season between the NBL and Houston, getting that confidence back, or just something finally clicked where you're like, hey, I'm just going to shoot this thing?
A little of both. I think that, you know, growing up, I just didn't have to. You know, I didn't have to shoot. Like, I felt like I could get to my left hand whenever I wanted to. And, you know, as, you know, you get older and, you know, people start to put you higher up on the scouting report, it gets harder. And, you know, I never wanted that to, you know, cripple not only my game, but the team, because, you know, you're going to have bad shooting nights, but it's like you said, when I'm making shots, the offense, the team is just moving at a totally different pace. And I never wanted to feel, you know, like I let the team down because I can't make shots, you know? So I just been working my butt off, and it comes with confidence. It comes with reps. And I think the Rockets have done a great job from top to bottom and just feeding the confidence in me. They really don't give a damn. Like, as long as you shoot it confident, shoot the shot, you know, because I'm not a guy who's going to settle. I've never been a guy who liked the gun. And, you know, sometimes I remember Will Weaver when we were over in Sydney at the end of the year, we would have to run sprints. I don't even know if you only practice like once a week back then. So.
once a month. Hey, once a fucking month. Once a month.
If I didn't take a three in the drill, the whole team was running. Like, if Jae'Sean doesn't get a three, then the whole team runs. And just to have a coach like really just,
it wasn't even make, right? It was just take. It was just take.
No, just take. He was like, dude, you have to take more. Like, you're shooting this much, but you're only taking 2 a game. You just have to shoot more. And it kind of clicked last year 2 years ago when I got to the NBA. Like, all these guys are shooting 10, 12, 15 threes a game. They're only making 4, 5 of them. Like, I just got to take more to make more. And that's kind of like where, I feel like my percentages went up. It's like, you're not going to take, like, it's literally back to the drawing board. You don't miss the shots you don't take. And once I figured that out, it's still a work in progress, but I'm definitely more confident than ever. And I think I'm going into my best year.
Yeah, no, it was noticeable. It was definitely noticeable. Came out of nowhere, one of the best rookies in the league, and just an amazing story considering your journey. I mean, we've had this question from a few fans, and I'll kind of ask the same kind of thing. But obviously, the journey you've taken from college to Europe to Australia to the NBA, do you think it's immensely helped your overall game? Just being able to play such a contrast of style, going from Euro style basketball where it's real fundamental, real X's and O's and execute, to the NBL under Will Weaver, which was a mix of both. Like, we had to execute at times, but it was free flowing, to now Houston, where you can just play. Do you think those styles have been invaluable to who you are?
Yeah, 100%. At every stop, it was a different style of play. Big Ten basketball showed me how to be a defender. Just, if anybody watched Big Ten basketball, it's the most boringest basketball on the planet. Like, they're going to duck in the post. It's going to be physical all game. The score is going to be 50 to 55 at the end of the game. So, and then going to to Europe and just being able to play against these different countries and really, like, wow, every country plays really different. Like Spain, you got these guards that are just so crafty with the ball. Just, they're throwing it between your legs. They're throwing it between 2 of y'all legs, their legs, but behind the back, like, they're just running around. And then, Germany is just so physical, man. Like, they got big, just giant human beings over there, and you just got to deal with them. And all different types of countries. And then going to Australia and just being able to play in like the arenas in Europe are a lot different than what people expect. There were some arenas, there's a cycling track around it. Mm-hmm. There's some arenas where it's like you in a hockey game. They got fences around the bench because people throwing stuff on you. There's fire in the stands. It's like nothing it's more like a soccer game than a basketball arena over there. Whereas when we were in Australia, it was just more of a NBA feel, man. Like it was just like, dang, this is really a huge stage. Like I really felt like I was in the NBA before I was. Like there were some games in Australia that sold out more than, my times in the NBA. So, and then just going to the NBA and just seeing, okay, there's really good players, and then there's these dudes that I don't even know what you would call them. Like playing against Steph is one of the crazy experiences I've ever had to do in my life, because on TV, like people don't realize like he shoots fast, but it's nothing like trying to guard that. Like he's not looking at the rim and seeing KD and playing with James and John, like just playing with all these like elite basketball players. It's like, okay, there's another level to this. And just being able to take the floor with them, 4 or 5 times a week is just, you're going to see something crazy every night. You're going to see something that you never saw before. And that's the name of the game, man. That's awesome. Like when you wake up knowing that, all right, tonight is going to be a great experience, then, like I said, we got the best job in the world.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and Steph just having an experience, people just think that, look, Steph's one of those guys that I've always said he just has it as well. Like he has it. Like this dude will pick up a dart for the first time and he'll hit the bullseye within 4 shots. He's one of those guys that just has the hand-eye coordination. But he puts a lot of fucking time in. Like people don't see that. People think, oh, he's super talented, he's a freak. But he puts a lot of time in, mixed in with the talent that he has. And yeah, just his ability to do it off the dribble. It's one thing to catch and shoot quickly, but I'm sure you'd notice when you got switched on him a few times, JT, when you're shitting yourself because this dude's just going to do something silly or do a step back or get you off your feet and draw a foul and shoot free throws. And it's just, those guys are another level. But Steph's, he goes down as one of the best all time. Pro doesn't think so yet. I'm trying to get him in the top 10 all time. But Pro's got a good point about who do you take out?
I mean, who the fuck do you knock out?
Yeah, it's tough.
Listen, what more do you want from him? Like, what more can we ask?
Oh, no, look. Oh, no, he's a fantastic fucking player and probably one of the top players in our game without doubt. Problem is when you go, okay, top 10 of all time, and then you get like, okay, you get your MJs and your Kobe's and your LeBrons and your Will Chamberlains and your, Bill Russells and Larry Birds. Like, now you sort of like, okay, that's great. Put him in the top 10, but who are you knocking out? Because those guys are some heavy hitters, just like he is. So, and everybody's got a different opinion. And I'm not saying he isn't. I'm just saying, who are you going to knock out? Like, without question.
Tim Duncan's in there as well, KG. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just hard.
The only reason why I think that that's even a debate is because he didn't hit the ground running. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know what it was, but it took him like 3-4 years to average over 20 points or something like that.
Yeah. And be the number one guy. He had Monte Ellis there for a number of years that was taking all the shots.
I mean but that's the only reason that I could see why people have a debate, because, most of these greats, these guys, they hit the ground running. As soon as they was in the league, they made an impact.
And small school as well.
And so like, but when we talk about impacting the game, man, I really believe that we play the game the way we do now because of him, and that's crazy. Like, there's only a few players that have changed the game of how you play, Jordan, Bron, Magic, and Steph. Those are my 5 that you haven't seen it before. You know what I mean? But so that's why I put him in the top 10. I don't know what the order is, and of course, like you said, is up to debate. But that's what I got on that.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's a tough one. All right. What's the best thing about being in the NBA for you?
First and the 15th.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
Oh yeah.
That could be it.
I would just say, honestly, just seeing my progress and everything. Like, I look like an NBA player. You know what I mean? Like, my body looks like when I go places, like, people know I'm an athlete just because of the stuff that comes with it. Like, we have a nutritionist, we have a psychologist, we have 24/7 access to the gym. We have trainers that are on call at all times. So just having, the ability to, invest in my body and have the money to be able to invest in my body is awesome, because you only get one, and I'm trying to play for a long time, and just seeing my transition from college to pro with just me mentally, physically, emotionally, it's just been awesome.
Mm-hmm. What about the biggest shock about getting to the NBA? Like, what's the thing that kind of you were like, holy shit, like, this is not what I expected?
I would just say, like, the amount of games there are, man. Like, it's crazy. It's really, and just especially in my role as being our best defender, like, every night I got to be on, or I'm going to be on top 10, like, just, you got to guard Brown on Monday. You might have Giannis on Wednesday. Then I got to go play small ball 5 with Jokic on third. Like, it's crazy. And I think just that was like the wake up call to me. Like, oh man, like, you got to be on your game every night, or you're going to get abused out there. And, that's one thing that the world loves to see is, when people make fun of it, make a fool of themselves or do something, which is crazy, but that's what comes with it. So just trying to just be on my A game every night, because, everybody has bad days, but you can't afford to have those.
Well, you've already done that, haven't you? When we playing the clip in college that you slapped down the floor? That was you, right?
Yeah.
And what happened?
Yeah.
You dunked on or something?
No. So this is when I knew the media was some BS, right? So I played the last probably 5 games of my senior year with a torn labrum, and my shoulder would pop out during the game. I would just slide it back in, like, it's senior year. This is my last time trying to make the tournament. I'm playing. And so we played Nebraska, and it goes into double overtime. And I went for a rebound, and my shoulder came out. And so they get the offensive rebound and get it back at the top of the key. And I'm just in total pain. So, like, just to get myself hyped up and not think about it, I slapped the floor. As soon as I slapped the floor, dude took off, ran right past me. And so after the game, like, I go to the locker room, I'm like, Coach, I can't play no more. Like, my shoulder's coming out too many times. Like, that's it. And the media just blew the whole story up. Jae'Sean Tate ends his senior year by slapping the floor and hurts his own shoulder. And so I was on Shaq the Food. I went viral. People like sending me the memes for like months. I'm like, y'all don't even know. Like, I'm out there really just trying to get back in the game, win the game. But, it's all fun, the game. All publicity is good publicity. So.
Oh, we were just laughing at it because you slapped the floor. He went right by you. I didn't even know that backstory about your shoulder being out. But we just I think did Will play it we might have played it in a film session, laughing at you or something. Someone played it, but it was like, JT, what are you doing, man? He slapped the floor and he just went right by you and laid it up and put it in the basket.
Right by me. I'm like, man. He actually played he plays over there in the NBL.
Who was it?
That's Webster's little brother. It was Webster.
Was it? Yeah,
Taj,
yeah.
Taj, it was Webster.
Ty Webster, yeah.
Ty. It was Ty.
Oh,
and
nice.
I was like, you mother, you was scared. I was like, you was scared. But it was all good. But I just thought it was funny how, the media kind of always, sometimes makes a story out of nothing.
What's your mindset around the couple of seasons you've had with losing. How have you coped with that? I know obviously the positive is you're playing and you had an opportunity because you weren't winning early on in your Houston career. But I mean, how have you mentioned that you had a young team that probably at times is a bit loose considering your record, which must be frustrating. But I mean, how are you coping with the losing?
Losing doesn't get easier. At least it's not supposed to, and I'm making sure that we don't get used to it. It's coming into the league, I came into a situation where guys were leaving, and we were people call it a rebuild. So it's been some growing pains, but I really believe that these last couple of years with our core, we've gotten better. And that's all I care about is just like, as long as we can get better every year. We have the talent. Everybody sees, the talent we have. It's just taking us a little time to get it together. And, this offseason has been really great. We got everybody in the gym together, just putting in work. And I'm really excited. I know that we're going to be better this year than last year.
Yeah, this is where the money's made. I mean, the year I had when Golden State, when we first got there, we made it a goal of ours to win Summer League. And as stupid as that sounds, it was influential in where I'm not saying it was the be-all and end-all, but it was a big part of the process of getting the Warriors to where they are today, that are consistently at the top of the league. Because we're like, if we've got a basketball game, whether it's Summer League, whether it's a practice game, we're not good enough to be the Cavs at the time or Miami or these teams that can be like, it's Summer League. We'll just, we'll work our way through it. Oh, it's preseason. The games don't matter. We were like, no, we're going to try to win all this. We're going to try to win Summer League, and we ended up winning a trophy in Summer League. And then we tried to go undefeated in preseason. I think we did, but it didn't eventuate into a championship immediately, but it was a mindset shift. And it sounds like that's kind of where you guys are at. You need to take those games seriously and treat it professionally. I mean, you'd probably experience that too with Dallas and your times there of, there are times where people laugh off Summer League and laugh off preseason games, right?
Yeah, without question. And it's an opportunity that, I don't think players understand the opportunity that's given to them, like in preseason and in Summer League, because for a lot of those players, that's the only way they're going to be evaluated for their rookie year, because they may not get into real NBA games, for a consistent streak, probably till year 2 or 3. And they don't understand. They laugh that stuff off and they think it's not really that important, but it really is, because that's the only way they're going to get into any type of a groove in even close to an NBA setting. And I think that's really important because it helps your team. I don't care if you're a lottery team, a championship team. If it's good for the individual and it's great for the team, especially those 3 or 4 young players that are sort of trying to play together and learn each other. And because every team's a little bit different how they're built. So it's interesting, but. Yeah, I see the improvement for those guys for sure. Though Jae'Sean, I definitely see what you see as far as the young kids, and everybody's trying to work through struggles and get better and get together and get better. It's just it's a very consistent process of just sort of you got to it can't come yesterday. It's a really good fucking league. Like in college, you probably had those 5 bums you played against before Big Ten season, right? You don't get that in the NBA. You don't get that night off. It doesn't matter if they're the last team in the league. Look at the Orlando Magic. You sleep on those guys, you think, oh, wow, they're the Orlando Magic, and they could beat you by 15, even though they're not a very good NBA team, because every team's got at least 2 or 3 NBA players on it, if not 15. But you don't get those nights off a lot. In college, you do pre-conference season. So I think all these games are important. And I think individually as a pro, they have to be important, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. What's the next step for you, JT? I mean, I know I've read you're putting even more work in with your 3-ball. Obviously, that's probably, something you need to probably get to uber confident level where you're making them trying to scratch the surface for 40%. As we spoke about earlier, I know I was talking to you a couple of days ago, you were in the gym, but I mean, what's a goal for you for next season? I would assume solidifying that starting spot.
Yeah. Just basically just working on my complete game, especially, my passing. You know, people are talking about my shooting, but I really believe that I could be an elite passer. And I've had some talks with Draymond, and, you know, I'm sure he's celebrating right now, but I'm supposed to get with him over this summer and just watch some film and just learn from him, man, because what he does is special. And, you know, we have similarities, and I'm just trying to be the best I can be. And, you know, I'm thankful that he's willing to help. And I've just been in Houston, just working out with the team and working out with my trainers every morning, and, you know, just getting better, man. This is actually my first year where I can just really just go to work and train and not think about anything else. You know, last couple of seasons, I was worried about making the team and on non-guaranteed deals and, you know, trying to just be around. Whereas this year I'm taking more of an approach of just focusing on working on me, working on my skill, but also just still being a voice and being around for our young guys, because we got a lot of youngins that are still around here working out, and we're going to get even more in a couple of days.
Yeah, no doubt. I think we're all pulling for you. It is a contract year for you, so make sure you don't do the standard contract things like most guys and just try to get your numbers up and never win a game. There's no doubt you won't. You know, you're not going to do that. But I think we're all pulling for you to try and get a long-term deal. I don't think you have any concerns there. I think whether it's in Houston or somewhere else, people know your value now, and we hope you continue this journey on. We appreciate you joining us, telling your story. I hope people got a lot out of this. I think it's a very unique story, and I think that we'd love to see you back in the NBL one day, man. I think with the Sydney Kings, all right.
Yeah, we're gonna make that happen for sure, man.
And we'll get you out here eventually to do some sort of clinic with Pro. Pro already knows all the good food spots, even though he's never been here. But yeah.
Yeah, hopefully you can get a better joke next time. But I appreciate that, Bogues. That's a great job.
You put all the good
Jae'Sean, who's your trainer, Jae'Sean? You said you have a trainer out there.
Yes.
Who do you like to work with?
Stefan Martinez, aka Dig Deep Basketball. Man.
Oh yeah, I sent him to China and he quit after a week. I do know Stefan. I actually had a meeting with him like 3 years ago at a Starbucks about 3 blocks from my house. He begged me to get him to China. I get him there, and he like goes home after a week. So tell him I said what's up, and I want my R&B back that they're supposed to pay him for.
Oh man, that is hilarious, man. It's such a small world. I swear it is.
No doubt.
Fair enough, though.
Small when you go home.
Fair enough.
Small when you go home after a week.
It is China, Pro, so fair enough. I mean, geez, you know, it's a tough place to play. Like we had Ian Clark here, and he had some really interesting stories about his time there a couple of seasons ago with the COVID stuff, and they locked him in a hospital room for 2 weeks when he landed, just like crazy stuff. So you can't hate too much, Pro. I mean, he probably got there and was like, what is going on here? This is tough. They don't pay me enough, but I hope you got your commission, Pro, out of that.
Fuck no, I didn't. I just will never recommend him for a job again, but I appreciate he's working with Jae'Sean over there. Hopefully he can turn that. Hopefully he doesn't quit after 2 weeks trying to get that shot up.
Oh,
so that's good.
Oh my God. I can't wait.
No, seriously though. What are you doing specifically, Jae'Sean? I know you said you don't want to specifically say, okay, shooting, but like, what specific things are you doing? Because I ran player development for the Mavericks for 6 years, been in player development for a while. I like to hear sort of what players' philosophies are of what they're trying to work on specifically in the offseason. With your shooting, is it any tweaks, changes, or are you just going to get reps up and hopefully it just goes up a little bit year in and year out? What's your plan on that?
A little bit of both. I feel like I said, this is the first year I really just got to concentrate on my game. So with just being able to shoot more reps consistently, I used to thumb the ball a lot, and just with shooting, I'm seeing that the more I shoot, the less and less I'm starting to thumb it with my guy hand. And I'm seeing results just from not thumbing the ball as much. Other aspects is just, that Bruce Brown short roll, push shot floater. Like, I think that's just something that is going to be beneficial to me because I am a great at the rim finisher. But I think that little, gray area between the free throw line and not really at the rim, if I could, solidify that shot, which I have done in my career. I just got away from it when I got here. I shot a lot of them more when I was overseas, and just trying to implement that more into my game, because I think that that shot is going to be available a lot in our style of play. And my right hand, just being, if I don't need my right hand to be like my left hand, but just being more comfortable using it and not depending on my left hand that much. If I could get just a couple percentages better with my right hand, it's going to just make everything else a lot easier.
What I would suggest for that, seriously, because that's what I specialize in with weekend development, try to go about 7 or 8 straight minutes shooting nothing but right-hand shots. A lot of times players that try to work on their weekend, they'll shoot like 10 reps over an hour, not even in a row, in which you can never get better at that. Just I would shoot 20 to 25 spots, 7 shots per spot. I don't care where it is, glass, no glass, but just make sure that you're doing about 8 or 9 minutes in a row of those shots. To end a workout, to begin a workout, it really starts to make a huge impact on your touch. Trust me, it'll work.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, tell Stefan Martinez I'll invoice him for that too, so he could so when he get back. No, seriously, all seriously, he's a good kid. Like Bogues said, China's a tough fucking place. It's not for everybody. When I go over there, I travel a little bit different with Nike than he probably had to travel with. I like to bust balls about it, but no, he's a good kid. He works hard. I heard nothing but good things about him. I'm glad he's having a positive impact in your career, though. Seriously, man. So you're a great story because you worked your ass off. Bogues had the Australian deal with you. I just see you from the NBA, from the NBA standard of like, you're 6'4", you're a strong kid, you work hard. A lot of guys that are like you don't get opportunities that, had good college careers, not great ones. Then you have to play in Belgium, come back. It's Australia, and then come back with that. It's a come from behind story, which is great, and I'm glad that I'm glad you're seeing getting a real opportunity in Houston. Steven Silas is one of the smartest coaches I've ever been around. He was with me in Dallas for a year. I think he's fantastic. I'm glad that you guys are together, and wish you the best.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate it, man. Keep working. You can find Jae'Sean on Instagram. You're on Twitter, but you're more active on Instagram. So give him a follow with those NBA lifestyle shots I see you posting on there. But other than that, we appreciate you joining Rogue Bows, and I know all the Kings fans were pumped when we said we're getting you on this week, so that they're looking forward to listening to this one. So appreciate your time, man.
Appreciate it, man. It's always a pleasure.